Guys, I just want to make an update video there on a topic that seems to have my ass pulled, or I should say, dragged over the coals lately, and or I should say a little while ago, and I just want to do a little clarification as to the rules and regulations regarding crossband repeaters in Industry Canada here in Canada. And I have been in contact with Industry Canada about this topic, and I got a couple questions that I asked them, and I got a reply. I asked them a couple questions again, and I got another reply. So basically I'm going to read you what I emailed them and the replies I got back. The individual that replied to me, I'm not going to say their name. Let's just say it's a high official there of Industry Canada, and we'll just leave it at that. But I will read the message itself, and I'll start with my question to Industry Canada, which I put on their website, and I got a response. But here's my original question to Industry Canada regards to crossband repeaters. Hello there, and Happy New Year. I have a question to ask. I have a basic amateur radio license. Can an amateur operator like myself build, own, and operate a crossband repeater with the input is VHF and the output is UHF? The repeater will not be used remotely. Here's what's stated on your website. Are crossband repeaters VHF UHF allowed in amateur radio if the equipment is capable of doing it? Crossband repeaters are allowed, but again, you must have the advanced qualification in order to operate a repeater, and you may only transmit in designated amateur bands. Now, what got me puzzled is this. On Amateur Radios of Canada's website, RAC, they state that an amateur radio operator with basic license can use and operate a crossband repeater as long as the input is on one band and the output on another band. Here's their post. I hold an amateur radio certificate with only a basic qualification. Can I set up and operate a radio telephone repeater with 70 centimeter input and 2 meter output? And the answer from RAC is yes. Section 44 of the Radio Communication Regulations stipulates that an advanced qualification must be held by the licensee of a voice repeater repeating in the same band. Note, however, that to control the repeater remotely, as opposed to simply using it, an advanced certification is required. So, what I'm asking is this. Is it legal for me, with a basic amateur radio operator license, allowed to own, build, and operate a crossband repeater on 2 different bands and not be used remotely? That's the question that I gave Industry Canada. I know it's a little bit confusing probably for you guys listening, but that's the question I asked them. And I got this reply back from them. Thank you for your query in regard to the rules and regulations pertaining to the use of crossband radio repeater systems within the Canadian Amateur Radio Service. Crossband repeater systems permit radio signals received on one frequency band to be automatically retransmitted on another frequency band. Crossband repeaters may be established and operated by persons holding either the basic with honors, or advanced amateur radio operator certificate, provided that such operations does not result in exceeding the frequency limits or the technical parameters authorized by the operator certificate. Refer to the Radio Communications Regulations, Section 44. Operators not holding the advanced certificate are restricted to use of radio equipment that has been commercially designed or manufactured for the use within the amateur radio service. The remote control of fixed radio stations is restricted to holders of the advanced certificate. Therefore, a basic operator may not make changes to the operating parameters of the station via remote means. Mobile stations are exempted from this restriction. For more information in regard to these limitations, you may consult the department's website. Sincerely, blah blah blah. So, I was a little bit confused as to their answer on that, and I wanted a little bit more input onto, or on what they meant by their answer there. So, a couple days ago, I sent them, actually the night before last, or actually I think it was last night, I sent them an email. Basically, and I asked them this question. Thank you for your quick reply. In your answer, you say radio equipment that has been commercially designed or manufactured for use within the amateur radio service. When you say this, does this mean commercial equipment that is designed to operate only in the amateur radio bands? What I'd like to know is this. I have one Kenwood TK760 and one Kenwood TK860 commercial radios. Can an amateur radio operator, whom has a basic qualifications like myself, allowed to set up, interface with a simple circuit, these two radios and use them as a crossband repeater, as receive on VHF and transmit on UHF? It's just that I have two of these radios here now, and would like to know if I'm allowed to set them up as a crossband repeater with receive on VHF and transmit on UHF. Thank you for reading the message, and I look forward to your next response to the question above. So yeah, I just want a little bit more elaboration on their answers regarding use of crossband repeaters and a couple radios that I may have, and if I'm allowed to actually be able to do anything with them. And their response today, I got back from them, is this. The physical modification and use of modified radio transmitter equipment implied within the Canadian Amateur Radio Service may only be performed by operators possessing the Advanced Amateur Radio Operator Certificate, provided that the equipment has been manufactured for use within a frequency range inclusive of those frequencies assigned to the Canadian Amateur Radio Service and can be configured solely by means of software programming. The programming and use of these devices by the amateur radio operator holding a basic or basic with honors certificate is permissible, only if it can be programmable, only if it can be programmed into the radio to do so. Basically, I can't physically open the radio and interface it with another radio to get the crossband to work. I need to get somebody with an advanced amateur radio license to do that. So, again, going on with what they said, such equipment could be interconnected and operated by a basic operator as a crossband repeater, provided that there are no internal physical modifications to the radio equipment in doing so. So, when they say internal physical modifications, well, I guess building a circuit board and tapping in different parts of the board to make it work. I don't know if you can classify that as actual physical modifications, because I'm not actually modifying the radio. I'm not, playing with the circuit, like making adjustments to the circuitry to do it. I'm actually adding a little tiny board to do it, but maybe it could be classified as physical modifications. Perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. Anyway, going on with what they said. It remains the operator's responsibility to ensure that the operation of the radio station does not exceed the authorized technical parameters or the conditions imposed by the operator's certificate, nor cause harmful interference to other radio services. I trust that this has provided the answer to your query. So, again, legally, yes, I can operate a crossband repeater. I'm allowed. A basic with honors, or advanced, yeah, can operate a crossband repeater. It's legal. What's not legal, or I should say illegal, is the fact of taking two radios and physically modifying them to act as a crossband repeater. That part I can't do. Which, as we all do know, I had built with those two Kenwood radios earlier, but has since been dismantled. Actually, can't do it anymore. I got the wires cut from it and the boards removed. So, if I got an advanced operator to do the modification for me, then would it be possible for me to use the equipment as a crossband repeater? Technically, I'm not the one modifying the radio. It would be an advanced amateur operator. So technically, I think if an advanced amateur radio operator actually done the physical work to the radios, and then I program them, which I can do. I'm allowed to program them. Well, anyway, I can program them regardless. And I should be able to use them as a crossband repeater. That's my understanding of what they're saying there. So if an advanced operator is allowed to do the modifications, and I'm allowed to set up and operate a crossband repeater, but I'm not allowed to actually do the modification to make them work, then from what I'm getting from what they're saying is that I'm allowed to use those two radios as a crossband repeater, provided that a person with an advanced license does the actual work on the radios. That's my understanding of it. What do you guys think? I'd like to actually hear your comments, or what you think about how you understand the answers from Industry Canada. Put it down below. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it. How do you think? What do you think about, or how do you understand about what their response is? I'll just read the last one again. I'll read their last response again, just without actually me saying anything. So just so you understand what the last one again was. I know I interfered a little bit, but I'll read it again. The physical modification and use of modified radio transmitter equipment employed within the Canadian Amateur Radio Service may only be performed by operators possessing the Advanced Amateur Radio Operator Certificate, provided that the equipment has been manufactured for use within a frequency range inclusive of those frequencies assigned to the Canadian Amateur Radio Service, and can be configured solely by means of software programming. The programming and use of these devices by an amateur radio operator holding a basic or basic with honor certificate is permissible. Such equipment could be interconnected and operated by a basic operator as a crossband repeater, provided that there are no internal physical modifications to the radio equipment in doing so. It remains the operator's responsibility to ensure that the operation of their radio station does not exceed the authorized technical parameters or the conditions imposed by their operator certificate, nor cause harmful interference to other radio services. I trust that this has provided the answer to your question. Sincerely, blah, blah, blah. So, with them saying that, what do you guys think? Again, let me know. Post your comments below. I'd like to hear what you got to say about it. Anyway, guys, I shall see you soon. All the best. Take it easy.